Okay, so now we're back, and we're just going to do the first row, I think, of our section layout with our image, our lorem ipsum paragraph tags of our welcome section. I do have some bad news. It looks like, as we discussed in the last video, I discussed using PlaceKitten for your images. Well, PlaceKitten is no longer available. So you can look here, and it has the best PlaceKitten alternative, uh, Lumi. I've never used it. I have used Unsplash. Unsplash is fine. You can grab from there. You just gotta copy your web address, the image address, and we'll go ahead and do that. But I just wanted to show you that we will not be using PlaceKitten because it is no longer available. So let's get into this. The first thing that I want to do, I went ahead and put in a class as welcome, but I want to also do a few other things in here to move things around and style it out in the manner that we want. So what we want is we want our image on the left-hand side of the viewport as you view it as the viewer, and we want our paragraph element to be on the left-hand side. And we're going to make this responsive design across all devices, your iPads, your mobile phones, and also your desktop, laptop, whatever. Excuse me. So let's go ahead and get into that. And again, I'm just going to do the first row. And then you should be able to figure it out using your Tailwindcss documentation to figure out how to do what I'm doing to manipulate the images in a different way. So the first thing we want to do is we get into our section here. Now we're going to do a custom color, and we're going to change our Z index a little bit, and we're also going to give it an ID. So let's get into here. Let me go. We're not going to do anything with the welcome at the moment. That's just in case we choose to do something particular with this section that we wouldn't want to do with the rest. So let's go with our background color. That's what this BG stands for. So the BG is going to be, let's just call it custom color. And the BG custom color, let's go ahead and put that in our style sheet right now so we don't forget it. So because it's a class, you got to put your period in there. BG. I use camel case, just a habit. And let's see, what do we want to do with this? We are going to make this, we're going to use a hash color for this, which you can also get the description of in your documentation. Use W3 Schools is my favorite. There's a whole bunch of others too. But I like W3 Schools. It's one of my favorite. And then Tailwind CSS, but it's not going to have this particular color for you. And so our hash color. Now this is going to be kind of like a, it's going to be kind of like a butterscotch type color. All right, now we're going to leave that. Oops, my bad. Let's go back to our, that's right here. So now we have our BG custom color. Let me make sure that all the spelling has to be right. You have to do everything exactly the same. BG custom color. Yep. So we're good with that. Let's go back to our HTML and continue on. So again, we're moving things around so that our image is on the left-hand side and our paragraph element is on the right-hand side. And right now, we're just going to style out our first row. Now, let's give it a P8. Let's make it relative. Our position will be relative. Let's give it a Z index of 10. And then let's give it an ID of who and what. Okay, and we can use these things too to customize it further. All right, now let's get into our H2 element. We're going to go ahead and add some classes and things of that nature in here. So what do we want? We want to make the font bold. Remember, we're using Tailwindcss. Oh, God. Sorry about that. So we want our font to be bold. We want our text centered. Let's go ahead and give that a text 3L so it really stands out. 3. Do I want to go just large or should we go XL? Let's give it a 3XL. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go ahead and underline that. And let's see, what do we want to make it? What color do we want it to do? So we're going to give it a decoration. Our decoration will be white. And we'll make that 900 so it's nice and large. And our margin bottom be 8 pixels. Let me see. Honestly, I think that's good for that. Yeah. Okay, so now let's get into our row. We're going to use Flexbox for this. We're going to make it a flex. And we want a flex wrap. And let's make the item center. Oh, jeez, I did it again. Forgot to write in my typing class. It's one of the things I suppose that's really good about not being able to type too well, is that when I make a mistake, it's simpler to correct because I don't get as far ahead as most people would if they are a talented typer, unlike myself. So now let's add a justify between. And so what this justify between is going to do is going to put even spaces between all of the letters. Just give it a little bit better readability. That's my understanding of it, okay? Now let's give it let's give that a margin bottom of 8 pixels. I believe pixels is the measurement that they use. You can look that up in the documentation if you'd like. Now let's go down to our block, for lack of a better term, and we're going to go ahead and style that out. Now let's do because we're going to use the full width, so let's give it a class of, I did it right. Let's give it a class of width equal to full. And let's say on medium screens, that's what this means right here, MD, we're going to do a width of half. And we will give that let's give that a margin of 4. Oh wait, what did I do here? Did I skip something? We're above the image. Oh, you know what? Yeah. Sorry about that. I'm going to change these things. I'm going to do 1/3, a width of 1/3 here. It'll just make it look a little bit cleaner. It won't take up quite as much space on the smaller screens, and so it'll allow it to wrap underneath. And that's the effect I'm looking for. Now again, whether or not this particular style does that, it remains to be seen. So now what we have to do, we have to find an image. So let's go ahead and look for that. You know what? H2. Flex wrap, item center, justify between margin bottom of 8. Div class width full, medium screens width 1/3. P4. Okay, now we have to go out and look for an image that we can put in here for our source. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go out here. We're going to go to Unsplash. How's that? Whoops, it didn't take me to the website. Oh man, what a pain in the butt, huh? Let's go ahead and do this. Let's cancel that. Let's get in here. Let's go to Unsplash. And again, we really don't care what the image is. It doesn't make a difference. So let's just grab this one right here. And let's just go copy image address. Okay. Then we're just going to drop this in our source. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Now what we can do... now, like your alternative descriptions and things like that, you know, this is for sight readers, for individuals that are are blind and things like that, or they require a sight reader. You know, they might need some assistance. So, you know, we'll just put a. I'm just going to put. How about just worm design? And it's going to be orange. Okay. Now we can check that, so let's go ahead and check that. Let's see where we're at. We'll go ahead and hit the live server down here. See where we're at. Okay. So here's all the other elements that we've already talked about. Now we have our custom color you can see here. Okay. Now here's our image. And the reason that it's still pushed over this way is because we haven't done our full suite of styling and things like that. But I just wanted to make sure that our image was in fact here. And it is. So we're looking good so far. You know, here's our lorem ipsum, titles, our services, things like that. So nothing has quite got there yet because we haven't fully designed it. All right, so we haven't put any color, any classes or anything inside of our image element. So let's do our image element. And let me see. I want to make sure that I'm doing this right. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, okay. So I apologize. We don't want that particular image to take up the full width of that that block because we have other things that are going in there, and our paragraph element is going to go to the right. So that's why we're going to do a few different things. So in this one in particular, I typically like to put my classes at the beginning here, but I would rather have it pull the image up. Not sure if that affects the performance of the website or not, but let's go ahead and get this going. And then, you know, you can look in the documentation again, and you can see how this affects the performance of the website and whether or not it's going to interfere with the upload of the image. But we're not necessarily covering that in here, so I'm not going to get into that. So now we want to make this, we want a rounded image, okay? So let's go ahead, rounded, full, because we want it full rounded. Let's put a shadow behind it because we're going to make it 3D. So shadow, we want that to be a 2XL, large shadow. We're also going to put a transform in there. And we're going to transition. And that'll just give it a little animation, duration. We'll set that to 500. It'll be 500 milliseconds, I believe. We're going to make that on hover. And that scale is going to be 1.05 times the normal scale. So it's just not very large, okay? So let's scale that. And let's do 105. You don't put the point in here. Let's see, I'm getting myself confused. I apologize. Duration 500. Okay, hover scale 105. Okay, and then we're going to do a hover. We're going to put a rotate on there. Hover, rotate. Three. I'm going to say 3 degrees. I'm not sure that's what that means. But again, you can look at the documentation. We also want this. We want the width to be the full width of this styled out element. Okay, and then on medium screens, it's going to be auto. And I think that's going to be good enough. So let's look at that and let's see where we're at. All right. Okay, so it's not styled out exactly. Looks like there's a flaw in this one in particular. But you can see when we hover over it, see how it's just a slight twist. Okay? And you can see the shadow behind it. See it right here? That makes it look like it's popped off the screen just a little bit. And it will scroll underneath our nav bar, which is what we want. And the image, the reason that we want the image to stand out is to give it that 3D effect. So that's good. But we do have a problem with our spherical styling here. This is not a full sphere, so I'll have to look into that. And then, I'll come back with that repair, but I don't particularly want to get into that right now. Let's continue with our styling. Let's get into the div that contains our title. How about that? Let's get in here. That is down here. So we want to give this a little bit of styling. This is where we're going to add our color and our responsive design and things of that nature. So here we go. Let's go with a class of, let's go width of full. And on medium screens, we're also going to do the 1/3. It's going to be width of 1/3. And no, you know what? We don't want to do that. This one is the one we want to do half on. Let's do half on that so that if it's just aesthetically more pleasing to do it in that manner. So we'll give it a P of 4. And let me see. Yeah, width full, medium. Width is 1/2. P is 4. Okay. All right, I think that's good enough for that particular block of text. Now we'll get into your H3 and we'll style it out. It's easy to get confused because I'm trying to remember all of the elements that I want to put in here. Class equal to. We want to make our font bold. Again. And what else do we want to do? It's that we want our text to be extra large. I'm not going to put a numerical value to that because we don't want it to be as large as the other ones. That's also why we use the H3 element. And let's go ahead and give it the margin bottom of 4 so that we got a little bit of spacing underneath that, and then the content will come in. Okay, so let's go with, we're not going to do much special styling with our P tag at this time. So we're just going to go ahead and give the text the medium. Um, I think for now that's all we're going to do. Okay. Um, Now, what else? Is there anything else that we want to do with this in particular? Boom, 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 boom. No. Okay. Now let's go ahead and see what that looks like. See if it's a little bit better. Again, we haven't done anything with the... Oh, geez, it didn't push it over. So I need to get into that. Okay. It could also be because this screen is considered medium because it's only a 12-inch screen. So I may have to adjust that. But I will do that in another video. But anyways, you get the gist of it. You've got your image here. I'll get this pushed over and I'll make that correction and I'll come back and I'll put that in another video following up with this one. Okay, so let's go ahead and wrap this video up. Thanks for watching. We'll get to the repairs of that in a moment.